Tonight on the Pro Football Alliance show, we have two new panelists, Greg James from the CFL covering the BC Lions, and we also have Vince Palmer covering the Tampa Bay Bandits from the USFL. That all tonight, plus The Rock makes a big deal with Coors, Steelco buys some of the Ticats, and the CFL talking revenue share, maybe? All that tonight on tonight's show. And welcome to the Pro Football Alliance show, brought to you by Pack22.com. Call Matt over there at 727-425-2645 to start your account today. And we are fueled by Cafe Pizza, 1900 Arsenal Street in St. Louis, Missouri. On tonight's show, we have some new panelists joining us tonight, which is going to be different. You guys won't have to hear from John and Brett and Arlington tonight. Thank God. Maybe John might pop in, but let's hope not. But joining us all the way, who is covering the BC Lions, Mr. Greg James. How are you, sir?
What's up, buddy? I'm doing good, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thank you for joining this alliance with us to bring football together across the entire North America and to see how this all works. And we're basically going to take over all of spring football. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right out of Tampa Bay, you can see his shirt right there. He's just chilling, profiling, looking at him. John yelled at him earlier because his camera wasn't messed up, but John's an idiot. Nobody really cares. Oh, we can't hear you, Vince. We can't hear you. Oh, did you whisper that? Oh, we can't hear Vince.
What's up, man?
Oh, there you go. Vince is covering our Tampa Bay Bandits over there at the USFL. Thank you for joining us.
Well, motherfuckers.
And another former guy. This was fun in the chat room this morning today between these two fools. We have Bert, who is the Birmingham Stallion guy. How are you, sir?
Another day in paradise.
There you go.
Up,
Hey,
All right, so, hey, first and foremost, I know, right? Hey, and by Pack 22, you could bet on the national championship. And, apparently the national championship did really well. The best football team in the nation won. Georgia Bulldogs, congratulations for being the number one team in the nation. And you two are shaking your head.
Chimes on the dog's ass every once in a while.
Bert, this is Georgia is on my mind. Brett, this is a professional show. You're not supposed to cuss. So, let's really get into college football. We had the championship, right? If I can't cuss, John, Brett, you can't. We had the national championship
You had
again.
it coming.
I know, I did, didn't I? The SEC is really looking different compared to some of the other major conferences. With the transfer portal and all of that stuff, and the players being paid now. I know at a Football World discussion, John wrote an article about the SEC breaking away from college football. I know, Brett, we've talked about it, that the SEC would be smart to break away from the national college football. But I want to go to you two, James, Vince, and Greg, and ask you guys first. And Vince. We'll go with you since you're. I'm sorry to say you're what is that team called again? That lost? I don't know. Who lost?
Just say it for me one time. Roll Tide. Just say it, bro.
No, I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah,
the Tide got rolled last night by Georgia. How was that one?
Hurt players, man. No key makers, bro. Come on, man.
So what is your take on possibly the SEC breaking away from the NCAA and making its own division? And how would that impact, spring football?
Well, don't think the SEC is gonna really break away, but I think it's gonna draw a lot more attention. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. More
Now,
attention, man.
Greg,
Man,
what's your take?
Well, my take on it is the SEC's always been, if you're going to look at college football, SEC has always been the major league of college football. And, to use baseball terms, it's major league, and the other leagues that surround it, be it, the Big Ten, the Pac-10, and everyone around them, they're all AAA. So, yeah, but we've all seen that over the years, even, especially in the last 20 years. You look at the national champions.
Well, that's funny that you guys say that because I have a nice little stat for you guys. I pulled up the last 10 national champions, right? And it's funny because let's really look and see who they are. This year was Georgia. What division were they in? Would anybody like to answer?
SEC,
Alabama,
SEC,
LSU,
SEC,
Clemson.
ACC.
And then we got Alabama, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State.
Big Ten.
And then we go back to Florida State.
ACC.
And then we go to for an 11 and 12 Alabama. We already know where they are. But I mean, if you go back, I mean, kind of like Greg said. I mean, really look at this. Who's been the team that's dominated the entire college football in the last
Alabama.
20 years?
I want to say
Alabama.
the SEC's won 8 out of the last 14. I can't remember what the stat was going. I think it was 8 out of the last 14 going into last night, which we obviously knew who was, the SEC was going to win last night either way. So,
Right.
I mean,
So I guess, my question is like, as you see our graphic down here with the portal and the NIT, all of that stuff, and the SEC, I mean, if you're one of these big guys, you're one of these big kids, right? And I've asked this question on last week, and I'm going to ask you three since you are the three new panelists. You got the new portal coming up, right? You got the USFL draft coming up, the XFL draft coming up, the CFL free agency. If you're a day 2, day 3 player that's, sophomore in college, and your agent says, hey, man, you've really already made $1 million here or $500,000 in your 2 years here in college, you got a chance of going, I'll just say professional to the USFL or XFL, maybe raise your draft stock. Would you guys take that chance? I'll go with Greg first. Would you take that chance?
No, you know what? If I were a young guy, choice between an SEC or one of the other leagues, I would choose the SEC every time.
Even if you're a day 2 or day 3 player, draft pick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Vince.
Because and here's just one more. And go to Vince.
Yeah.
SEC's been around forever. It's not going away.
I would choose the SEC because the SEC has the most players in the NFL right now, man.
Right.
That is true. Okay.
Yeah.
And Brady, you gonna make a unanimous decision?
So to answer your question directly, will some kids go to a different league? Will some kids go to the USFL or the XFL? Absolutely, some will. What would I do? I would probably stay in the SEC, depending on what kind of NIL deal I was getting. If I'm a third-day guy, a lot of these kids aren't getting paid. That's what they're not saying. Like, there's 3 or 4 on Alabama's team. The quarterback made $1 million. But there's a lot of guys that ain't not getting that kind of money. So
Okay.
Will some guys go? Yes, there will be some that will end up. You'll see a lot more in the XFL and the USFL than Kenny Robinson, in my opinion, in the future.
All right. Now,
But some will definitely stay, especially in SEC. Yes.
Okay, so now let's stick back with the college football. We know that the 3 leagues were at the college, kind of at the college combines and all of the new stuff coming up for college. The NFL was there, USFL and XFL were there for, the upcoming, college, however you want to say it, draft pool, whatever the hell you want to say it. I don't care however you want to say it. What does it mean having not we just know what it is with the NFL. We know the NFL is going to be there, but what does it really mean with the USFL and the XFL? Even the XFL 2 years out already being there, but the USFL with their draft coming up in just a matter of a few weeks, actually. What does it mean for that? For that kind of thing? We'll go with Brett first.
Well, one thing the USFL just did was they were what they're pretty much giving guys, free schooling. That was one of the things that had been mentioned. What online classes so you could get your degree while playing for the USFL, and supposedly now we don't know any details, but the rumor is, and I think one of the Fox officials actually said that they're planning on having pretty good salaries, for the players. And with them being owned by Fox, I think they'll definitely fulfill their 3 years. I don't know. Like Greg said, now the SEC will be here long after we're dead and gone. So,
Okay, Vince, what do you think with the USFL and XFL at the these upcoming college scouting trips and combine stuff, the draft pool basically? What's your take on that?
I think the SFL or the USFL might do pretty good. Tell you the truth, man. I mean, you got these top conferences like the SEC and stuff like that. Those recruits right there aren't going anywhere, man. But you got the ones below, Power 5 and stuff like that, man. Those recruits might be going to the SFL and the USFL, man. Ones that aren't like really looked at, yeah.
All right, now, Greg, you're doing the CFL thing. Your free agency starts on February 8th, which you'll be joining us again on February 8th because that's going to be a big day. And so that show is already pretty much written itself for us. So thank God, thank you, CFL, for writing the day for us on February 8th. What is your take on the two new leagues being at all of this new stuff coming up?
I think they just have to be at this point because, well, the USFL obviously because you're going to start playing, so you need to find players. I think for the XFL, I think whether or not the USFL was there or not, with the management they got in place now, they're just really laying the groundwork because a lot of those guys who are at the combine, may not make a roster, even a USFL roster, NFL roster for the following year. So I think it's more for the XFL. It's just starting to take names and be prepared for when they start up to see who might be available, who isn't available, and just kind of getting their name out there too. Because if the XFL weren't there, I don't think people would be taking the XFL seriously right now.
Okay. I think it really shows. I really think that it shows for the two new leagues that they're in this to play.
Yeah, I agree.
I think with Fox being the owner of the USFL, they're saying, "Hey, listen, we're not screwing around. We're already sending people there." Do you think that they may be able to pull away any of the top tier talent? And we'll go with Greg on that. Do you think that the USFL with Fox money behind them will be able to draw away any of the top tier talent?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Vince?
Nope. Because those guys right there pretty much already lives a celebrity life, man.
Okay. Brett?
Not a chance. If it ever got to that point, it would have to be 5 years from now when they're actually established and there's signs that they're not going anywhere, which is, I'm telling you, is a possibility if the USFL and XFL was to merge and be solidified. And it's rather obvious. Many TV executives have mentioned this, that there's a market for spring football. Every spring league recently has showed that by the TV numbers. But getting these players, like he said, that are celebrities, and like Greg said, the league is stable and has been here forever. It would take years on down the road for something like that to ever happen. So no, not anytime soon.
All right. So this is going to kind of go back into the next question. Even though the USFL is offering they're giving their players and their staff tuition-free, debt-free college degree programs. Let's again. I'm going to go back to that question again. You have a day 2, day 3 guy, right? That wants to make some money, even though they've made a little bit of money as as John would like to call it, a 3-star or a 2-star guy that's right on the cusp of becoming, on a big program. Go to the USFL, you're going to get the free tuition and all that. Play 2 more years, build your stock up, and then maybe go back into the draft. You don't think that would entice some kids there? Let's see. We'll go with Vince first.
Nope, not at all. I think the only chance they have are guys that are not Power 5. Yeah.
Okay.
FCS guys. D2, D3. Those type of guys right there.
Okay.
All the other guys, man, like I said, they're already living pretty much a celebrity life. You go to Ohio State and stuff like that. Alabama, man.
What do you
Yeah,
think
but I
about
mean-
the smaller schools, though? The Pac-12.
Well, hold on now. Hold on. Stop. Hold on. Let's look at it this way. I mean, Alabama's kind of on the decline. They lost the championship. So if I'm a kid, I don't think I'm going to Alabama next year. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't want to go to a loose, I mean, like the great Ricky Bobby says, if you ain't first, you're last. I mean,
Alabama's in it every year, man. So hey, I don't see why
yeah, but
nobody
they're always
wouldn't
second
want to.
loser. Always second
Every 2
loser.
years, they're in,
Natties in 13 years.
they're in there every year, man. Yeah. Georgia might not be there next
Hey,
year.
you know who's ranked number 1 for next year already? That's
Georgia.
right,
Bring it back.
Alabama.
Georgia.
We're bringing back. Hey, we're bringing back a really good team too, man. So be prepared, like Scar said in the Lion King, man.
That's our trophy. They're just renting it. Greg,
Yeah,
I didn't know
man,
this
that's
was
it.
going to be.
college for daddy. I can,
Hold on,
I
don't
can
make me
assure
mute
you.
Is,
Come on, that was a
listen,
freshman
listen,
team,
Alabama
bruh.
boys. Don't make me mute you, Alabama boys. I'm going to Greg now on that question. Greg, did you really think we were going to be on a love fest for Alabama?
Oh yeah, no. I
God, it's like they're-
I knew we were going to be talking a lot of Bama tonight. So
I know. Oh, look at them. It's like they're gargling. They're gargling Nick Saban in Alabama when they were second losers. I mean, Jesus. I gotta give you guys. Listen, I'll give you guys some props. You guys are sticking by your team, even though they're losers. They lost. I'll give you guys some credit on that one.
Well, I will say this: we've had more success the last 13 years than St. Louis has had a team.
Ooh, yeah, that's
has
right.
Has St. Louis ever kept a football team for 13 years?
We had the Big Red from 60-something to 89. Then we had the Rams from 95 to, 14? So,
We had most of the Cowboys too, man.
All right, let's get into something else. Let's get into USFL talk. I don't want to have to kick anybody out of the show tonight. This is the Pro Football Alliance show. We are brought to you by Pack22.com. Call Matt over there first. Mitch and John Turner of Football World. You get a discount 727-452-2645 to start your account today. And if you're ever in St. Louis, see, you two Alabama guys want to bash St. Louis, but look, right here, if you're ever in St. Louis, come over to Cafe Piazza, 1900 Arsenal Street, to eat some of the best pizza you ever will have. So, now, right there, as you see it, the set was just up with the USFL finalizing a deal to use the Birmingham Field, Legion Field, and Protective Stadium. So they're using both fields. Now, Brett, this is where you're going to kind of come in more and stuff like that. How good is that for them to be using both stadiums?
Well, I think considering it's a bubble and all 8 teams are going to be there, it's actually a necessity. They're pretty much on opposite ends of town, so to speak. I wouldn't know. I didn't Google the exact. I've been to Bioprotective Stadium a couple times. I've been in Legion Field 30 times. It's a necessity with 8 teams because more than anything, they're going to be using Legion Field for practices and things of that nature. They're going to have 85-90% of the games at Protective Stadium. I was aware that they were going to use Legion Field all along. I don't know what took them so long to finally get that worked out. I mean, that was even in the opening statements and talks with the city. Even the city mentioned it, that they were going to be using Legion Field for a few of the games, but mainly for practices. So
Okay. Now we'll go to Vince. Since he's another Alabama guy, so I'm sure he's been to either one of those two fields. What is your take on it? I mean, is it smart for the USFL to be using the two fields, or should they go out of that bubble like Brett was saying? That's why they're using both fields. I mean, do you think it's going to hurt the USFL in its first year, or do you think it's going to be good for the USFL to use both fields?
I don't know. To tell you the truth, man, I don't think they should use both fields. Honestly, I think they should start somewhat smaller, bro, and
Okay.
work up there. Yeah, somewhat smaller. Man. I mean, if I was to start something like that, man, I would start small, then work up my crowd, bro.
So now here's the thing. So as I pulled it up, it said on Monday the City Council Budget Finance Committee is expected to approve a resolution for the mayor to execute an agreement with the USFL Fox-led ownership group, providing up to $500,000 of in-kind services to the cost to playing the eight to the 11 games at Legion Field and the other games being played at Protective Stadium. Now, it's not saying how much they're going to get for Protective, but with them getting that $500,000, I mean, is that really going to be beneficial for them?
I
wants
can't
to answer?
remember the exact number on Protective Stadium. And I will mention this only because we just had the Birmingham Iron and the AAF, which was spring ball. And of course, then that was before Protective Stadium was a brand new stadium. It hadn't been around 6 months. Legion Field is a very historic. There a lot of games have went down at Legion Field. Bear Bryant, I mean, a lot of history. But Olympic soccer's been played there. But it's a rough area of town, and the AAF would not allow the Birmingham Iron to play night games there. Protective Stadium's a totally different area. And, I have the Birmingham Stallions official fan group, and there was already, when this story broke, which I knew about it from day one, somebody posted it this morning, and first thing people were talking about was safety. And I said, look, they're very aware of that situation. I seriously doubt they'll be having night games there, or there'll be plenty of security and things of that nature. So
Okay,
like I said, that's my only thing. And the fact, one more thing, Legion Field is a shell of what it used to be. It at some point in 2, 3, 4 years, I think Legion Field is no longer going to be here. It's in disrepair, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't use it much.
And there it is. There's the field. Now, I mean, Vince, like Brett said, I mean, if you really look at it, and Greg, I'm going to get to you too. A lot of stadiums are built more into the bigger part of the cities and stuff like that. I mean, now, do you think they're going to use one field for day games and one field for night games? I mean, Vince, what do you think on that?
I would just say one field altogether, man.
And you're saying that field right there that we just had put up, right? This field or the other field? Or that one?
Pretty much that one right there.
You wanted it that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Greg, I mean, you heard what I said. $500,000 is what Fox is kicking in to help the city of Birmingham. They're talking about using both fields. Brett's saying that, you should have one play day games in one stadium and one play nights in another stadium. What's your take on the whole bubble situation?
Well, I mean, my first question is, now remember back in the day when we had the USFL in its original form and you had teams playing to pretty much empty stadiums? So therein, my question is are we going to, I mean, what's the turnout going to be? I mean, because if you're going to sell a product on TV, you want to see people in the stands. Like when the first XFL, and I can't speak for the second XFL because during those 5 weeks I didn't see any games.
Here, I'll cut you off real quick, Greg. I'll tell you this. When we met with Kurt Hunzinger, the the president of the Battlehawks, I straight up told him from day one, open up the entire dome, you'll sell it out. They didn't believe me,
Right.
and then they realized, oh, we lost Vince, he'll be kicking back in. They saw that they could do it. Okay, so go on.
Right. No. What I was going to say is, football is a TV product. So are they going to, kind of like what they did in Montreal with the pandemic? They limited capacity, first of all, for safety, but also too to it didn't give the impression that they were playing to an empty stadium. Whereas you have only 10,000 people show up. Are those 10,000 people confined in a certain area? Where, when you have a bigger stadium and only 10,000 show up, I mean, 10,000
kind of like they did with the MedLife.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'm fine with them playing at two stadiums, but I mean, for all of us watching TV, again, going back to like watching a CFL game in Toronto. Part of the frustration as a CFL fan is when you see empty seats, and I know USFL fans, people watching, you see, they kind of gets frustrating. I mean, we all love football, but we also like to see asses in the seats too if we're not able to be there ourselves.
See, that's going to be a bit of an issue with this go around, and the reason why I say that is, and look, my main problem isn't with Legion Field's location. The stadium itself is in disrepair. It needs to be destroyed and used for something else. It needs to be torn down. But you've got 75,000 seats in that stadium, where you've got 45,000 in the brand new Protective Stadium. Like what he had mentioned, it would definitely be better in so many ways to have it in Protective Stadium, and that's why they're having 80% of the games at Protective Stadium. Mainly, like I said, what they're going to be using Legion Field for is practices. I think maybe a couple Friday games and a Monday night game or somewhere around. I don't have a schedule yet, but that's what I'm told. But see, this is in Birmingham, so it is a bubble. So you'll have a lot of fans at the Birmingham games, but I'm concerned about the other 3 games that week that does not have Birmingham playing. So that's going to be a bit of an issue.
All right, hold on, Vince. Go to your mic and cam setting and turn your echo on.
Yeah, turn it what? Turn it on.
Go to turn, because you got an echo. So go to your mic and cam settings, and then hit echo cancellation. All right. There we go. That's better. All right. Now, Vince, you heard what both Greg and we lost him again. He's having some mic issues. So, okay, so let's get to it. So, because I'll get back to that because I do want to get his take on it. But let's go back to the coaches. As you saw that all right, here he is.
All right. That's
all right.
It's out of it. Yeah.
Okay. So you heard what they had to say about the whole USFL and the fans and all that. Like Arlington says right here, and I get it. Playing in a bubble is a precaution. I get it. Regardless of what you want to think about COVID and all that, COVID cases are on the rise. We're seeing it regardless of whatever.
I got it right now.
Yeah, see? Did you say you got it? My poor wife, we're both vaccinated. She's got it. I don't have it. So, yeah. I get the whole bubble thing, right? And then, like Greg said, you're doing – what if they're doing precautions and only having so many people in one stadium and so many people in the other stadium? Brett, who's been in Alabama for a long time of his life and has been to, the field and saying, what field are you saying is in despair?
It's Legion Field that is in disrepair. It's
old,
so,
very old.
It's old, very old.
All right, now Vince, your take on that.
My take on the bubble?
With the bubble, bubble, COVID, and Legion Field being in despair.
Well, I don't think they should use Legion Field because it's in despair. I would use the newer field, yeah, and I would keep everything right there in the bubble right there. Yeah, just so I can keep them. Yep.
Now, like Greg was saying, with the fans, bringing the fans in, because we all know football is a fan sport. Fans want to watch football. Yeah. But should they put some kind of stipulation in?
Well, if I was to put it in a stipulation, I would have fans do it like ahead of time. Maybe maybe a COVID, a proof of a COVID test before you come to the game or something like that, man. Or
Okay.
limited fans. Yeah, limited fans. I mean, like right before you get on a flight, you gotta have proof of COVID vaccination. I mean, not vaccination, but test
Right.
stuff
Yep.
like that, man. Yeah, like I'm
Okay.
getting ready to go to I'm getting ready to go to Jamaica real soon here, man. So before I board that plane, I have to have proof of a COVID test.
Yeah. The world we live in today, right? The world we live in today. All right, so let's get to it. We're going to talk coaches. They already named 4 coaches last week for the USFL. Todd Haley, Kevin Sumlin, Mike Riley, and Brad. However you say his last name. They butchered me last week. Now, one coach is a guy on this team, a guy our panelist tonight, Vince. You got Todd Haley, who was a shit coach in the NFL. So hopefully he might do better in the USFL. What is your guys' take on the coaches? And we'll start with, since Tampa Bay's coach is hired, we'll start with you, Vince. What's your take on the 4 coaches?
All I gotta say, we'll see about Todd Haley, man. I mean, he doesn't really have a great head coaching resume at all, man. He's mostly a coordinator, wide receiver coach, and stuff like that, man. I mean,
Right.
but with this type of talent right here, man, he might do better. Yeah, I mean, because some coaches don't do well in the NFL. Yeah, they do better in college, but once they get to the NFL, they're not so good. Yeah, but
Okay.
on this level right here, with these typical guys, he might do a lot better, man.
All right, Greg, what's your take on the coaches?
The only one I've really got to take on is Haley, because he's the only one I really know. But he stepped away from the end. I mean, he got fired by the Chiefs how many years ago now?
2000,
Right before
2011,
Reed got.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I really don't have an opinion on any of the coaches right now, and I think it's a little. For me, I'm just thinking, okay, well, we got the head coaches. To me, the important ones are the guys underneath them.
Right.
Now,
So,
one of your coaches was up there in the CFL. One of these coaches was up there in the CFL, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people have. I mean, there's so much back and forth between Canada and the U.S. Even with CFL experience, I mean, let's face it, CFL experience does not often translate well back to the 11-man game, as we found out with Mark Trestman.
I was just going to say Mark Trestman.
And I like Trestman, but bottom line is, football's a numbers game, and if you're not winning, you're losing. So
okay, Brett, what's your take on the 4 coaches that we have so far?
Well, I'm very familiar with Summerlin and Haley and Riley, and I can't even remember. Is Riley the coach of the Generals? Is that who he's going to be the coach of?
I'll tell you right now. So you have Haley, who is taking over the Tampa Bay Bandits.
Yeah.
You have Sumlin taking over the Gamblers, Houston. Riley is taking over the Generals, and what's his name? Bart Osmus is taking over the Philadelphia Stars.
Bart looks like he needs to be in a Goodfellas Part 2.
Hey, where's my producer? Put the picture up of Bart that we had up there for last week. I love it. Dude looks straight gangster. Straight gangster. Now,
only thing he was missing is those polyester pants or whatever, and a chain with a V-neck.
That's right, Tony Soprano. Now, my question. Now, we have the 4 coaches. Now we have the other 4 teams that the official logos have been announced for the other 4 teams.
I think Riley's a solid hire, but like Bear Bryant always said, surround yourself with people smarter than you. That's my answer.
Okay, that's smart. That's smart. Now that the other 4 teams have unveiled their teams, the Panthers just unveiled theirs, the Maulers, and then was it the Breakers, and then I'm trying to think of the last team. I can't remember.
The Stallions don't have a coach.
No, the Stallions. They just all released their 4 teams. Now, there he is. Look at him. Straight gangster. Looks like he belongs in The Sopranos. Looks like he belongs in The Sopranos. That's the head coach I'm going with right there. I'm picking my team right now, and it's whatever team that man is coaching. But so they've released the other logos. We have 4 more teams. What do you guys, if you guys could pick, let's go that way. If you guys could pick one head coach for the USFL, all right, and I'm going to give each one of you as your own little team. Since, let's see. So we have, let's see. Hold on, I got to find it again. I got like 17 windows opened up. That's the hard part, is to try to find which window to go to. You got to love it, right? All right, Brett.
Number 3.
Well, Brett, I'm going to give you the Stallions since you're there. Okay? So I'll give you the Stallions. So we'll go with you. Who would you like as your head coach for the Stallions?
Well, I wouldn't have minded Gene Chizik at all, but obviously he chose the North Carolina defensive coordinator job for the second time. Guess he didn't learn the first time, so he chose that as a job. But there's so many guys out there. There's so many guys with who I would choose would be Steve Spurrier, but I know he'll be coaching the XFL next year.
Can't choose my guy.
Coaching for the Vipers next year.
Can't choose my guy.
But listen, we'll go to Vince. Vince, is that who you would take? I'll give you Michigan, Vince.
Huh?
I'll give you Michigan.
Well, like you said, I will go with Steve Spurrier, man, because he had success on the USFL, man. Him and the Tampa Bay Bandits, bro. They did pretty good, and what he did with Orlando Apollos, man, that he had them rolling, bro.
Al Pacino. There we go. That's the head coach I'm going with right there. All right, Greg. Who would you? I'm going to give you the. I'm going to give you the Maulers. You're Pittsburgh. If you had to pick a team, if that's your team, who are you picking as your head coach?
And I can pick anybody, right?
Anybody you want.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go with the real wild card, and I'm going to go with Pat Fitzgerald here up here at Northwestern.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh.
He hasn't went anywhere else other than Northwestern, really. He's had opportunities.
I'm going to throw our producer in real quick and see. We're going to get one of his picks. Hey, you get one pick, and then I'm removing you. Who are you picking to bring in as a new head coach?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you get one pick, and then I'm removing you. John Turner from the football world. He's doing the producer. He's doing all my logos and all that stuff. You got one pick.
Give me Doug Belk, the defensive coordinator from the University of Houston. First year on the job this past year, 9th defense in all of college football. Give me Doug Belk, University of Houston defensive coordinator. I'll take him as a head coach 10 out of 10 times in either the USFL or XFL or CFL for that matter. Give me Doug Belk.
All right, go back to producing. Good. I like that.
Doug Bell is young and hungry, right?
I like that. That was a good one. You had to I could see him down here in the thing. He's shaking his head. All the answers were given, so I had to give him a shot to let him. He was itching to get in there, so I had to give him a shot. Hey, this is the Pro Football Alliance. We are brought to you by Pack22.com. Call Matt Eddington first and to mention John Turner of Football World at 727-452-2645 to start your account today. You mentioned John, I think you get a percentage off and all of that good stuff. And we are fueled by Cafe Piazza, 1900 Arsenal Street, St. Louis, Missouri. Now, we're gonna go into, we got like 20 minutes left, so we're gonna go into our third down. And I know, Brett, you're not gonna like this, but we're going to because a lot is coming up over the next couple weeks with the USFL, the CFL, and all of that, right? Now, let's go to it. The first big thing right here is Steel Co. acquires 40% interest in the Tiger Cats, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Now, they have a 23,000 seat stadium, the Tim Horton Field. Greg, You're more the USFL guy. How does that fare well for the CFL, where they're now starting to sell off ownerships of teams to people, or is it a good thing?
Well, you know what? I've got a couple different opinions on this, so just bear with me, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing is nobody has ever made money or ever gotten rich with the CFL team. That is a fact. That's a historical fact. So my second part of this is that okay, the steel company is buying into the Tiger Cats, but it's just a minority interest. So the question is the problem is we don't know. The CFL has never opened its books at all, so we don't know what 40% means. I mean, we don't know how much the team is worth. So is it 40? I mean, the team could be worth 0, and it could be worth 40% of 0. I mean, that's the problem. I think right now with the CFL. I mean, I've read the articles, got up to speed on the news, but again, it gave us nothing in terms of any details. And the CFL. I mean, when the CFL went to the government, 2 years ago now for help?
Right.
Okay, the CFL wouldn't open its books. I mean, they got turned down flat by the government saying, unless you're going to open up your books and explain to us why you need the money, then don't bother coming to us. So I don't know what this 40% means, and that's kind of to me. It's nice to see somebody, a local owner is buying into it, but we don't know the full details. And from what I can see, even the news reports, and I'm going with the Canadian press. I refuse to go with any American.
I don't blame you.
I don't blame. Amen.
But even in the Canadian press is very vague. So anything I would read south of the border would be, mere conjecture or probably conspiracy theory, at least on one website. But with that said, but we just don't know. That bottom line is we don't know what really any of this means. And I've talked to Dave Naylor before. We had him on our podcast, our history podcast, and I would venture guess even he's probably scratching his head, going, "Okay, well, what does this really mean?" Because with the CFL, and we all know this, we've all watched it. They're hurting for money. So, is this was the majority owner hurting for money that he needed a minority owner? We just don't know. So,
Okay. Vince, what's your take on it with the Tiger Cats selling 40% of their Steelco buying the 40%? Yeah, I mean, you heard what Greg says. We don't know. The CFL has never opened their books. Don't know what the 40% looks like. The NFL really wouldn't do anything like this. Is it a good thing for the CFL, or is it a bad thing that they're letting local people coming in?
It could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but it might actually be a good thing, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more good than bad.
Yeah, different heads in there, man. Yeah, different different ideas.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then the bottom line is we just don't know. Really, all we know about the CFL's finances is what they get paid with the TV contract, and we all know that just barely covers payroll for each team.
Okay. Brett, what do you think?
Well, believe it or not, this subject really interests me because I'm one of those guys. Everywhere I go, it's almost like one of those parent commercials. I'm trying to figure out overhead because I've owned my own businesses before.
Right.
I've ran businesses, so things like that really interest me. And when I figured out a few years ago that CFL was real secretive, actually, it was when the pandemic hit, when they had asked for money. It was either that year or the year before. And I realized that they wouldn't open their books and you couldn't even find out what the players made and all that. I was like, wow, what are they trying to hide? What are they hiding?
Yeah.
And then I started paying more attention to the CFL this year because of the interest from the XFL and the possible merger or whatever talks at one time. And did the BC Alliance, were they just not bought out by a gentleman at the first of the year?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they actually do have a new owner. But again, we don't know how much. I never once saw anything in print. And if somebody's out there that can show me a number somewhere in the press, I'd love to see it. But we really don't know. It was never mentioned during any of the games. anything I saw, how much he bought the team for.
Right.
And when you look at BC, and well, because it's a very gate driven league, and when you look at
Mhm.
BC, I mean, you
Right.
can count the people in the stands on TV. So it's just frustrating
Right.
to not know. I mean, with the NFL, we pretty much have a good idea. I mean,
Yep.
we see a lot more. There's a lot more openness, at least with NFL
Well,
finances, and
hold
there
on.
are with
Here's
the
where I'll go. Here's where I'll go with that. Being from St. Louis, with the Rams leaving the Lambs leaving the way they did, with Kroenke, the way he did it, and St. Louis coming back and suing the NFL and the Lambs, and
right,
then Kroenke selling off, 600 or 720 billion pounds to cover for his debt. The NFL didn't want to open their books up to show how much money they were really actually making. No, see, look, he's putting his head down. But it's the truth. It's the truth.
Oh, it's
I mean, we
true.
kind of
it's
have
the
an
truth.
idea of
Yeah,
what they make. But,
yeah.
so, I
A
mean,
lot.
And
they
even with
do.
the litigation from 40 years ago with the USFL, I mean, you look back there now, you can kind of prorate it with inflation and everything forward. We have a good idea pretty much what the NFL is worth, how much money they make. But the CFL, you know what? All for the average fan, all we see on TV are empty seats,
Yeah.
and missing a season, and a commissioner that's basically begging the government for money, and then not
Well,
being
see, I
able.
did more research, and I'd like to ask you this if you don't mind. I didn't mean to
No,
cut you off, Greg,
no,
but
yeah, go ahead.
like in the late '90s, the CFL it was rocking and rolling. And the reason why this subject interests me so much is because I had a group that was interested in possibly purchasing the XFL at one time. They made millions and millions and millions off Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Right,
Uh, but my interest is that's what the USFL and the XFL have already mentioned is that they're looking for minority owners. So it's the
right.
same. It's the same principle that the CFL's been doing forever. So that's why the subject interests me so much, really.
Yeah. Well, and with the CFL, I mean, the reason why the CFL came south was, in the 90s, was because they needed expansion fees. None of those teams made any money at all. Baltimore lost money, but they were the most. They lost the least amount of money, and there's a lot
But
of good
wasn't the
books.
attendance a lot higher for the Canadian teams back during that time period, or am I wrong? Because I did some
Well, it
research.
depends. It depends what city you're talking about.
Because the last 5 to 10 years has really been the worst part
Right.
of the
Yeah,
CFL,
you're
correct?
right. You're right. Up in Canada, oh yeah, the
Why is that, in your opinion?
well, there's the younger fan. They don't. They're the fan base is aging out. Really, I mean, and there's so many and I'm giving kind of a nutshell answer here is the
Yeah.
fan base is aging out. Demographics are changing. Okay, people aren't growing up with the CFL like we grow up here with the NFL. I mean, the NFL is in your face all the time. You can't get away from it. We're all huge football fans out here, but up in Canada, it's Canada number one is a hockey country.
Right.
Okay, football is secondary, and I mean, there's also too the population is a lot smaller. You've got a population in a giant country that is the equivalent of what's out in California. So, I mean, it's just the economics of it, the demographics, and things are so spread out. But bottom line is they're just not putting asses in seats.
All right,
And
so, no, go ahead, finish.
oh no, they're just not putting asses in seats. And anybody who is a diehard CFL fan, whether they're south of the border or north of the border, it gets frustrating when you hear, well, they're not marketing it. I mean, all of us right here, probably are doing more for the CFL tonight than the CFL is doing for it, just by talking
Right.
about it.
Oh, yeah. Now, here's what I want to say. Because of the whole, talking the potential merger with the CFL and the XFL, right?
Right.
Now you have the USFL, right? Coming up. Now think about it. If you're the CFL, and we're gonna start with Vince on this one. If you're the CFL, you have the two leagues, right? There's a chance that you might merge with, right? You have one that is being ran by, and this actually turns into these two questions that I got to ask, because the commissioner of the CFL is starting to has the owners for revenue sharing to for the first time in 40 years. And Greg, I'll have you go last because I want you to kind of elaborate a little bit more on that. Now, think about it. You're the CFL. You asked for money last year. You didn't do good this year. You've already sold 2 of your teams, right? But yet you have a new football league coming in that is being ran by one of the largest broadcasting sports networks in the United States, Fox Sports. And then the year following, you have the XFL coming, which we can all 4 of us agree is being ran by the biggest movie star in the world today, who is the spokesperson.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody knows who The Rock is, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you are. Right. So now, Vince, with everything that the CFL has went through over the years, and this is why we're going to have Greg go last because he'll elaborate more on it. Everything that the CFL has went through, if you were going to merge, right? Which two of those leagues would you merge with? The one ran by the broadcasting, or the one ran by the movie star?
I would go with the USFL, man.
Okay, and why?
Because it's Fox Sports, man. Yeah, it's the biggest. Yeah,
Oh,
okay. Yeah, they got success, bro. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, the USFL only had one problem, man. That's it.
Right.
For that, it's still around. Yeah.
And with them looking to get the revenue share, I mean, the reason why, because you think Fox would help them be able to get more revenue share between the owners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not too sold on the SFL right now, man.
Okay, and why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because of recent history, man. Twice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, twice, bro. We'll see how well The Rock does with it, man.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was gonna be a big thing when it came back the second time, man, but it didn't. COVID-19 knocked it out, bro.
That is true. It did. You're right. Brett, what do you think? If you had a choice, which one you going to? I mean, Vince brought up some good points. You got Fox. It's going to help your revenue sharing here in the States throughout the country.
I've got a team that's going to be 45 minutes from my house, so I'm going to be supporting the USFL and the Birmingham Stallions. But I'm a diehard XFL fan. I grew up with that, but it was kind of a circus sideshow in 1.0, but 2.0. It was more successful than any of us fans thought it would be when it came to attendance for the most part, or TV viewership. And it was even higher than what the owners and the team presidents thought it was going to be. But the problem is we had a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, shut it down. Uh-huh. And with the Rock coming in, if he spends his time and tries to – I mean, look, everybody knows Dwayne Johnson. And I don't know of anybody that's really said anything bad about the guy. He's like the number one person on any social media platform, just about as a whole, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that. I'm taking my chances with Dwayne Johnson and the XFL, honestly, especially after what I saw in 2020.
All right. Now, Greg, you're the CFL guy. Okay. You're going to be the tiebreaker on this. Vince is saying, I'm going – if the CFL, I'm merging with the USFL because of Fox. I have a better shot at getting the revenue sharing because I'll get revenue sharing out of the States and in Canada. Brett's going, hey, I got the Stallions coming to Birmingham, but I'm a diehard XFL fan, and they got The Rock backing them. You're the guy in Canada. You would see it. Which way are you going?
All right. So my first part of this is if The Rock can bring back the Snyderverse, all bets are off. Okay.
Oh.
Because if he can bring back the Snyderverse, because when does Black Adam come out? That comes out this coming year.
Yeah, I think it's at the end of the year.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna actually play a lot into this. Whether people want to, I like The Rock, though. I mean, he bought the XFL for $15 million, which was pocket change compared to what his Redbird capital is worth. So I think things are. I think we're really going to be surprised, and I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised a year from now when it
Oh, here it
finally
is.
does.
Will says Black Adam comes out this summer.
Okay. So I think, you know what, and nobody mentions that, but I think that's going to kind of factor into how a lot of people are going to view the XFL next year, because I'm a huge Captain Marvel fan, and Black Adam, I saw Black Adam was coming out. I'm like, this could be epic. Yeah, this is going to be good. So with that said, okay, so let's just talk about the USFL. The USFL is going to start playing in April.
Correct.
In Canadian ball, believe me, I got friends of mine who are up in Saskatchewan right now, and they sent me pictures and temperature readings of what it's like right now in Regina. No way the CFL is going to play a season that doesn't, the earliest they can start playing up in Canada is April. And that's only because, baseball season starts up there too. I mean, the Blue Jays play up, there. So I can't see where the CFL is serious about the XFL right now. I think down the road here we're going to see kind of an alliance of these three leagues in some way, shape, or form, which would actually be kind of cool. Everybody can keep their own identity, kind of how it is in soccer over in Europe. Everybody, got different leagues. I mean, and that's something nobody really talks about. But Canadian football is Canadian football, wider, longer field. You've got the traditions. There is a way to kind of have an agreement on rules, and you see that with Gaelic football and Australian rules football. So I don't know. I don't know if a merger is likely, but I think you're going to have a true, and this word has really got tainted because of Ebersol back in 19 with the AAF, but an actual true alliance of these of AAA leagues. For I mean, back not too long ago, if you remember, in baseball, we had 3 AAA leagues. We had 1 major league. Maybe that's what
true.
we got. I mean, it could be something like that. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't want any league to come out on top. But I think a merger. I mean, a merger of all these 3 leagues of different competing business interests, I don't think it's going to happen. But I think it's going to be in the financial best interest of all the leagues if they cooperate somehow. Whether, like with the CFL, with all this revenue sharing that they're talking about, you got 9 owners up there who can't even get on the same page with revenue sharing.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's because your Western teams are the money makers pretty much, right? And then your Eastern teams are not, except for the BC Lions.
Right. But with that said, there was a time when it was the complete opposite. Your big city teams were the money makers, and the Western smaller towns were losing money. They had telethons and everything to keep them going. So
see, that's why I still can't understand being an outsider. Something is like I said, something happened. I guess, like you said, it's generational. I don't know.
It's one of those things. It's hard to explain because even the people that are very knowledgeable about it have differing opinions on it as to why we're where we're at right now with it.
All right, so
Some
then
people
here
said it was because they allowed American teams in. Sorry.
We are officially in overtime, so we're going to go one last question. And this is this question is going to kind of tie in with all 3 of your questions, or your guys' answers that you guys all just gave, right? And here's what I propose, right? I've said this a million times before. What if these 3 leagues do some sort of a player sharing type alliance? Because that's basically why we named the show Pro Football Alliance, to bring an alliance between the CFL, USFL, XFL. And that's funny because everybody on this show is basically representing one of those 3 leagues, right? So I'm going to start with Greg. Could you see a player type sharing alliance between the 3 leagues? Yes or no?
Yeah, I could see it.
Okay, Brett. Yes or no?
Model, the model's already out there over in Europe with soccer, where people go to different leagues and different levels, but yeah, it can be done.
Okay. Brett, yes or no?
Yeah, it can be done.
Vince, yes or no?
It could be.
It's funny because all three of these gave all three different answers, but they all kind of tied into one answer. To me, it just seems like they're going to do that player sharing type alliance is how it's going to work for me. All right, this is
They're going to have to stand together against the NFL to make it, really.
the no fun league. Yes, I definitely do, and I hope they start taking players away from the no fun league. That's just my opinion.
Oh, I'd
That
love
it's going
it.
to happen. This is Pro Football Alliance Show. We are brought to you by Pack22.com. Call Matt over there at 727-452-2645 to start your account today. And we are also fueled by Cafe Piazza, 1900 Arsenal Street, St. Louis, Missouri. I want to thank our esteemed panelists tonight. Vince, where can people find you at social media-wise?
You can find me on Facebook. If you subscribe to my gaming page, I have a 32-man Madden football league. We play games. We come together and play games all the time. So you can follow me there.
Well, give it out. That's what this show's for. It's a
Oh, yeah, you
shameless
can find
plug.
Oh yeah, we stream, man. Vince Palmer. You can find me at a Gridiron Universe Madden League. Yep.
There
On
you
Facebook.
go.
Oh yeah.
Brett, where can
I'm here
people
now.
find you? We're at on Twitter.
100% XFL.
Hold on. Vince still had to give his Twitter handle.
Oh,
I don't know, man.
What's
I
your
don't know
Twitter
how to
handle?
say it. You guys might laugh your ass off. I call myself Coochie Boy, all right?
Okay, go follow Vince at Coochie Boy on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at DirtyXFLSTL. So, Brett, where can people find you?
not on Twitter. 100%. You know the joke on that. 100% XFL and USFL fans, real SEC football fans, and of course the Birmingham Stallions official fan page, all on Facebook. I'm on Instagram too as the 100% true XFL and USFL fans as well.
One more thing. If you're a part of AFW, a football world, the best football group on Facebook,
Yep.
you can find me there.
Okay. Out of all four of us, Brett is the only one of us that is officially banned from Twitter
For life.
for life. They won't let him back on.
You don't have a burner
I even
account?
got Trump beat.
He even beat 45. Greg, where can people find you at?
Greg James at CFL America on Twitter, and go from there.
That's right. And, of course, each one of these gentlemen will be back. We will be seeing Greg back on February 8th for the big CFL thing with the free agency and all of that. And we will be seeing Vince again once the season gets closer. For the USFL, we'll be seeing Brett again for the USFL. I am Dirty. With that being said, this is Pro Football Alliance. Thank you guys for all joining us, and we will see you guys next week.